even is this movie? Warner Brothers, we have a new Star Wars coming out this year, plus Steven Universe is just about to end now. Did we really need another flick for people to talk about in a million other unneeded, weird, and kinda hurtful video essays? Is this the other part to our monkey paw wish now that you made Aquaman and Shazam the way they are? Okay, I'm over-exaggerating. I'm a firm believer that all media can be analyzed and even criticized. Todd Phillips' Joker that is currently in theaters now is no exception, no matter how the film turned out. It is turning heads with its unique take on the established Batman character, in addition to being made in a specific era of comic book and superhero movies. It's not just where these films are popular and play a unique role in our transforming entertainment and media landscape, but also in how we collectively look at and examine movies and how they function as a societal need for the different people of the world. Look, this isn't necessarily a review, more like a loose collection of thoughts. I've just seen the film, and I find 2019's Joker to be... okay. It's alright. A lot of good, quite a bit of not good. The film has a grimy late 70s, early 80s urban design that I like. Joaquin Phoenix plays a good part. The supporting cast is great. I feel like the cinematography and production design has a sense of direction as well. It's just that I have these questions in my mind after seeing the film. Joker, what did you set out to do? And what exactly did you plan to accomplish? The film is aiming to be a story that is drawn from comic books about the iconic Batman villain. Yeah, it's also aiming to be a film like Taxi Driver, Fight Club, Scarface, etc., where the subject matter is about a criminal or psychopath. In these films, sometimes the subject matter is intended to be interpreted as morally questionable or morally objectionable by the filmmakers, but these films also garner audiences that often unironically enjoy the films because of the subject matter in general. My main issue with Joker is that it doesn't do anything or say anything different from what we've seen in these types of movies. It feels like another misunderstood criminal story, but with a famous fictional criminal at the center. It has interesting views of classism and socioeconomic aspects, but that's only interesting in part due to some familiar characters showing up in the story alongside the Joker. Is that it? Was Taxi Driver, but in the city where Batman is, the hook behind this movie? Maybe. Forget about us living in a society, but just for a second. We live in an age where the superhero movie and films adapted from other works dominate a lot of the industry. Great if you're a fan of Iron Man or The Lion King, not really ideal if you want to see good films based on original material. Original material from many different talented creators and artists. But it's not like those things don't get made, or people can't enjoy films like Avengers Endgame or that Lion King remake. I think it's frustrating for people like Todd Phillips or Martin Scorsese who want to see more of the original stuff. I'm in both camps myself. I'm thinking Joker was a mishmash from these two mindsets. It's adapted from comics and characters a lot of people enjoy, but it's also a new story with elements from that material. Okay, I think we could use more of that, in theory. If Joker is just an experiment to toy around with old ideas in the medium of film, or to see if today's movie-going audience is willing to see a movie like this, then there we go. I think that's the main thing behind the current conversation about Joker from my perspective. It's not so much the content of the movie, but the context and environment it's being released in. This is just one aspect though. I don't really think that it's a bad thing if Joker is just an experiment. I also don't think that it's a bad thing if its cultural notoriety leans more on the how or when it came out. This isn't a definitive statement on the matter, this is just how I'm reading things. In my showing, there was a decent pool of people of different ages. I think the older people who were there didn't care for it, but the younger people who were there were kinda into it. Kind of concerningly into it. But I guess there's always going to be people who consume specific media and films for the wrong reasons. So, what is Joker's legacy going to be in the long run? It might seem like a retread for professional critics who have seen films like Taxi Driver and Fight Club. It might be too different for fans who enjoy the current comic book films of this decade, be it DC, Marvel, both, whoever. It also might have legitimate fans that totally get it. It's also going to get fans of people who like it, but are unaware of what the film intended to say about psychopaths, criminals, and what ultimately helps feed into making them. That's the intention I got from the film, thankfully enough. I think it kind of stumbles in that aspect though. The Joker, more often than not, is portrayed as a straight-up villain. Unlike most of his ilk, there's not a whole lot of backstory or pre-Joker history, rather, to the character that is colloquially accepted by comic book readers, fans, and literary scholars. There's really nothing set in stone or something that you need to get right, like an exploding planet or dead parents or dead uncle. I'm wondering if the attempt to make him sympathetic but still morally reprehensible is misplaced or unneeded. Most people know the Joker and like the Joker as the Joker, most often when there happens to be a Batman. With characters like the Punisher and Deadpool, they still have the moral ambiguity that makes them interesting, but they're not necessarily straight up villains most of the time. That's what makes us invested, interested, and affectionate towards them. I do think that there are Punisher fans that don't take that into account, unfortunately. Same creation background too. Ask Spider-Man writer Jerry Conway. He's still around. Additionally, I have the feeling that Joker is opening doors for fans in a legitimate way. There's many a modern moviegoer who only see the popular films. Joker could open their eyes to the possibility that a flick can be something different and stand on its own, while still getting a feeling for the film's framing. This is quite a bit for a loose collection of thoughts. Above all, I don't mind if you think Joker is a good film or even a great film. That doesn't make you a bad person. I too like characters like the Joker, Scarface, and Frank Castle, even when the bad outweighs the good in them. They just have to function like characters in a fictional story, not people to emulate or idolize. I might be concerned if you think that these characters and their stories reflect your life in some aspect of your creed. In that case, hon, babe, I think it's best if we just see other people.